Hi, Instagram. Welcome to our yin and meditation practice today. So, if you have not grabbed any props already, grab a bolster, blocks, maybe a blanket if you'd like. I have my yoga puppy, Indy, here that she's going to be joining. So, thank you so much for tuning in. And today we're going to start in a seated meditation. So our practice today is going to be really focused on the hips and the pelvis and trying to bring a little bit more neutrality through the pelvis, which might actually assist releasing any tension through the lower back area. And so we'll be working a lot with the lower body, and especially if you're running quite often or cycling, you might feel a lot of tension through the hips. So this is going to be a great practice for you. So let's first just start by sitting nice and tall. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. So find a nice comfortable seat, lift your hips a little bit higher. And then really just making sure that you have a space that's quiet where you can rest and relax. So we'll sit nice and tall on our mat. Let's bring our hands to our thighs. Maybe the palms facing down today, and then shrugging the shoulders up to your ears, let them rise. And then releasing the shoulders down your back. And as you close down your eyes, start to release all of the external looking, so all of the stimulation that we are finding, that the eyes are constantly searching for information. So just by closing the eyes, that allows us to tune inwards. Now just scan the body from head to toe and notice if there's any tightness or tension that you might be holding. Take a moment to let go and relax any tension in the jaw, the lips, maybe any tightness through the shoulders, the hips. So if you'd like to support yourself a little bit more, you're welcome to adjust. And finding that place that you can rest. And now starting to connect with your breath. So to arrive here a little bit more fully, we'll take 3 exaggerated breaths. Take a nice deep breath in, following your breath all the way up to the top, maybe growing a little bit taller. And then exhaling completely, you can open your mouth if you'd like, letting the air out. Again, inhaling fully, expanding the body. And exhaling, emptying, feeling yourself soften. Now, after your third exhalation, just start to follow the natural flow of your breath. So I'd like you to cultivate this place of non-doing. So we're not attaching ourselves to what we think we should be doing right now. Letting go of any judgment, anticipation. And simply following the flow of your breath. So sometimes it's really challenging to slow the body down. We are so used to be running around in our day, having a million tasks on our to-do list. So for this next hour here in the practice, we're just going to cultivate this mindfulness of learning how to relax, how to slow down, and connect to the sound of your breath. Now start to gently bring your hands towards your chest into prayer. And before we start, we'll just bring a little bit of gratitude here. So really acknowledging just that time that you're taking for yourself, carving this time out in your day. And also acknowledging this beautiful opportunity to come together in community. So even though we might be at a distance, we are still connected. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. We'll start to slowly open the eyelids now, and you can just bring your hands behind your skull so you can interlace your fingers behind your head, and then drop your chin down towards your chest so the elbows can come forward slightly. And then try to feel a little bit of traction through the back of the neck. So you're drawing the chin towards the chest and then feeling that nice gentle stretch through the back of the neck. Now maybe rolling your head from side to side really, really slowly over to the right and over to the left. And just kind of moving from side to side here with your breath. And if there's any area that feels tight or tender, you can pause there for a few moments. Again, adding that traction with the pressure as you open through the back of the head, the neck. And eventually come back through center and inhale, start to lift your chin, stretch the arms all the way up towards the sky or ceiling, pressing the palms nice and high, and then growing a little bit longer through both sides. So you can kind of find this almost morning time stretch over towards the right and over to the left. And then as you exhale, we'll start to lower the hands down towards the ground. You can stay sitting on a bolster or a blanket if you'd like, or you can gently take it to the side, and we'll start to extend the legs nice and wide. So first we'll bring the left leg out to the side and keep the right foot in half butterfly pose. So if you have props nearby, you can place a block underneath your right knee if you'd like. And then we'll turn the body to face towards the left knee. So first, just find a little bit of a twist so your navel is trying to draw towards the left knee, and then walk your fingertips towards the left thigh. Now this might be where we stay today. You can just straighten the arms. If you're feeling sensation in the outer right hip, this is going to be the target area into the lower back and pelvis. So you might feel a nice stretch also through the back of the knee. That might be really, really nice and gentle. Try to soften your left leg completely. Now, if that feels okay, if you can go a little bit further, maybe lower down to your elbows. Again, you can place blocks underneath. You can also bring a bolster or pillow under your chest to rest. Or personally, I like the variation of drawing my arms underneath the left knee or thigh, and then allowing yourself, just like you're giving your thigh a nice hug as you allow your head to relax down. So we'll come into what we call now our first edge. And so that's the place where you're going to feel a little bit of resistance, but this should never be overwhelming. And so starting to find that sensation, this might be a dull ache, a mild sensation of opening. But we're not forcing ourselves into the pose, we're just allowing ourselves to settle. Now we will hold these postures for a little bit longer, trying to be still as much as possible. However, during this stillness, if there is an invitation, you can always just explore the body slightly, maybe allowing your body to relax a little bit more to the mat. And the body is always in constant communication. So here we're given this opportunity to listen to what your body is speaking to you. If you ever feel pain, sharp or shooting, this is an indication to come out of the pose, maybe just slightly or even completely. Now, if there's tension through the head or neck, you can always support your head, maybe with a bolster, a block, or even within your hands. You can let your head rest into your hands if that feels better for you. So just finding your personal edge and remembering that it's going to look different for every body. Trying to practice being non-judgmental, especially with yourself. And paying attention to the mind if it's wandering from place to place. Just giving your mind a little bit more space. So if you ever feel anxious or if it's challenging to calm the mind down, come back to your breath. That gentle sound. Grounding yourself and anchoring in the sensation of your body. And then really lengthening your exhalation now. So trying to allow yourself to relax and let go. It doesn't matter if you touch your toes. Instead of trying to force yourself into the pose, try to relax the muscles. That allows us to get a little bit deeper into the connective tissues. So we'll just take 3 more breaths here. Now inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale. And start to use your hands now. If they're still wrapped under your thighs, you can release that. Bring your hands just to the mat and start to roll all the way up through your back. So find a neutral spine first to begin, nice and tall. And then we'll cross the left hand towards the right thigh. Bring your right fingers just behind you and then look over the right shoulder for a gentle twist. And come all the way back through center. Now draw your left heel in towards your body, back into that cross-legged position. And we'll just simply switch right away over towards the right. So the right leg now extends long. Your left foot can draw into your right thigh. Now maybe, again, supporting underneath your left knee if the left knee feels quite high, or you can sit a little bit higher onto a blanket or a bolster. And then turning yourself to face towards your right knee, just keeping the spine nice and tall. So again, if you already feel a lot of sensation through the back of the leg, that might be quite juicy. You can just stay in a neutral spine. So especially if there's any back injury, if you're choosing not to fold forward today, you can start to walk your hands just a little bit further in front if that's okay. Or again, you can support underneath your elbows with blocks, maybe something underneath your right knee. And slowly moving to your edge, to that sensation. So it's not overwhelming. This is a really moderate sensation. So if you could use a scale, this would be about a 3 to 5 scale of sensation. It's not forcing, you're not shaking or tensing the body, but it's just enough so that you can relax your breath. Again, if you'd like to thread the arms underneath your hamstring, maybe giving your right thigh a little bit of a hug, and then letting your head dangle or rest onto a block, a bolster. So I really like to use props in the practice, and that actually allows you to deepen the posture. When the body is supported, you can mentally let go. So take a few moments now just to find the place that is comfortable for you. And then as much as possible, try to cultivate stillness. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Again, take a moment to check in. Are you holding any tension? Are you resisting unconsciously? Can you soften the shoulders, the head, the neck, the jaw? Soften the space just behind your closed eyes. Again, if the body is receptive, you can see if it allows you to let go a little bit more, maybe that invitation. If the answer is no, you can come out of the pose again, slightly or completely. So always giving yourself that permission. It's much more important to listen to what your body needs. Again, take a deep breath in. And a smooth breath out. And walk your hands now all the way back. Releasing. You can keep your right leg extended, left hand just beside the left hip, and now cross the right hand towards your left knee for that gentle twist. And just looking over your left shoulder. And come back through center. Now we'll bring both legs into a straddle now, so both legs are nice and wide apart. You can slide your heels a little bit wider to the edges, and maybe feeling the sensation through the backs of your knees or through the inner thighs, the adductor muscles. So depending on where we're carrying our tension, this is all going to feel quite different for everybody. Sometimes by sitting on a wall, that might actually feel really nice, or if you want to maintain that neutrality through your spine, you can find the wall to open your legs wide, so lying on your back. If not, just staying nice and tall here on your mat, you can grab your thighs and create a little bit more space behind you so that your sit bones are rooting down towards the mat, or lifting your hips onto a cushion. Again, you can just stay like this, or eventually you can start to walk your fingertips forward. Personally, if you have a bolster, it can be quite handy. So I like to place my bolster on blocks, just like a little shelf. You can also use a couch or any kind of props that you have accessible for you. And then maybe resting your forearms onto the bolster, or maybe even draping your whole chest over the bolster, letting your head relax. Now, if that's not accessible, if you don't have a bolster, you can always explore maybe with blocks. Your head can rest into your hands. You can just stretch the arms forward as well. Again, just finding your personal edge here in your practice, being really gentle with yourself. Checking in with your body, with your breath. So we're not trying to cause any undue stress, but we are trying to stress the tissues. And this can be really important. So stress can actually be quite healthy. It can motivate us if you have something to complete, for instance, a project at work. It can also be really, really healthy for our muscles. If you're running or at the gym, you're stressing the muscles to grow. So in our yin practice, we're stressing the connective tissues. We're feeling this gentle traction, this gentle tug around the joints. And stressing the bones to grow, to strengthen. As we hold the postures a little bit longer, there becomes this fragility as the muscles relax, we go deeper. So this is why it's really important to be gentle. To not push past the limits. And just being mindful with your edge, with your breath. With each exhale, try to relax. Soften. We'll take just another minute and a half here. So please, if you ever need to come out of the posture, please do so. This is a progressive practice. And take 3 more breaths. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Use your hands now, lift up through your chest. You can remove your props to the side of your mat. And bring your hands just behind your knees. Help assist your knees to the sky. Place your feet flat. And windshield wiper your knees now from right to left. So drop your knees down. You can look over one shoulder, maybe in the same direction as your knees or the opposite. And then again, gently twist over towards the left or the opposite direction. Just very slowly moving through your hips. So we've gotten quite deep into the hamstrings there. And come all the way back through center. Now to release from all of those forward folds, we're going to bring our props to the front of the mat and come to lie onto your stomach. So lie all the way down onto your belly. So we'll transition now into what we call Sphinx pose, lifting your chest, coming onto your elbows. So again, if you have a bolster handy, you can place it just under the body. So I like to place it just under my rib cage so that my whole rib cage and chest can be supported. The arms can gently be forward like a sphinx. So the elbows are either stacked under the shoulders or forward. If you don't have a bolster, that's fine. You don't need one. If you do have a block, you can always place the block just in front of you to rest your forehead onto. So personally, I like the highest level here. And then lifting the upper body, the target area that we're looking to find is just into the lower back, so into the lumbar spine. So I'd like you to find a little bit of compression in that place. Again, compression can be quite helpful, so it can be really healthy to strengthen that area of the body and create a little bit more mobility. So you can stay just resting with your elbows to the ground. Now, if you're really not feeling any sensation through the lower back or body, You can always take a little bit more. So again, it doesn't mean that you're a more advanced yogi if you go deeper. Just every body is different. So you can always choose to elevate your elbows onto bolster or blocks, something a little bit higher. If you don't have anything to elevate your elbows on, you can also bend through your knees, lift your feet to the sky. So that will add a lot more compression through the lower back and spine. So again, that's just your option to try. And then once you have found that place for your body, close down your eyes. Relax the shoulders down the back. So these yin postures is a fusion of yoga and Chinese traditional medicine here on our mat. And so we're using these acupressure points to stimulate the movement of energy, what we call qi, through the channels of the body called the meridians. And often each posture stimulates many different channels. So today we are working primarily with the kidney and the urinary bladder meridian line. And that helps promote energy, that feeling of aliveness, vitality, clarity. The element of water, a nourishing place. Now again, just checking in with your body, with your breath. If you are still feeling that gentle stress in the lower back, stay where you are here on your mat. If you feel like the body has started to relax and shift, the sensation is starting to dissolve, an option is to start to straighten through your arms. So if your feet are lifted, you can lower them down. Now maybe bringing your arms straight now, what we call our seal pose, so the fingers can point out a little bit more to the side. It's almost like an upward dog, but our thighs are on the ground. Relax the shoulders down the back. Either find a neutral position with your head. If you'd like a little more compression through your neck, you can lift your chin to the sky. Or you can feel that same stretch through the back of the neck as you let your head fall down towards the ground. Again, if this is ever too much, you can always come back down to your elbows. Maybe lifting the elbows a little bit higher if that feels better. Just taking another 5 breaths here. Relax the tension in your jaw. And the shoulders. If you are elevated with your elbows, walk them forwards. Remove the bolster if you have the bolster underneath you. And come all the way down onto your stomach. Just take your elbows nice and wide, or you can stack your forearms one on top of the other. Either let your forehead rest or look over to one shoulder. And just allow that sensation to dissolve. So again, because we're holding these postures a little bit longer, the body might feel quite fragile after. So we want to be really careful and gentle as we come out of the pose. Now lift your feet to the sky and windshield wiper your heels from side to side. So a little bit of a twist, massaging the thighs as you do this. Lower your feet back down towards the ground. Bring your hands now under your chest and press your hips all the way back to child's pose. So in this child's pose, I encourage you to take your knees together and sweep your hands just beside your feet, so you're rounding your back. And this will stimulate more of the urinary bladder meridian line with a nice rounded spine. If that doesn't feel comfortable for your knees, you can take your knees wider and maybe rest onto a bolster or your forehead onto a block. Now enjoying a nice massage as you breathe. Feel your belly pressing down into your thighs. The space in between the vertebrae as they rise. And sweep your arms now forward to the front of your mat. Round all the way up through your back. Find your hands in your knees and move in any way that your body craves or needs. So you can circle your spine, cat-cow, figure 8. And just kind of free-form movement here, organic movement, just waking up the body, maybe keeping the eyes closed. Again, practice active listening. As you come back to center, we'll lift the hands a little bit higher and then step your right foot through in between your hands. So your blocks can come underneath your shoulders, and we'll step the right foot forwards. So you can work your left leg a little bit further, or maybe fold or cushion underneath your left knee. And then the right arm can gently rest onto the right thigh if you'd like, if you feel quite comfy. Now, sometimes it might actually feel better to place the bolster underneath your left knee completely, so that might add that extra cushion and support. And then lifting the chin as you breathe in. And then let your head dangle and soften as you breathe out. So we'll come into this first variation we call the low dragon pose. Now this is one of the best postures just to help, again, regain that neutrality through the hips, through the pelvis. We often have a lot of tension through the quadriceps and the hip flexor. And that might be putting undue stress on the lower back. So So as much as you can, try to relax into the shape. Now option 1, stay in your low dragon pose. Option 2, start to elevate your blocks or your props so you're lifting your chest a little bit higher. So your chest is still forward, your hands can be higher, lifting your shoulders, or maybe even walking your hands backwards in the same plane as your hips. So your shoulders are now over your pelvis. And this really deepens the pose. So just be gentle with this. Try not to go into the deepest variation right yet. If you'd like to sit onto a block instead, so you can actually stack your block just underneath your right thigh. And that might add a little bit more support so you can relax here into the pose. Hands can rest either onto your thighs or close the eyes. So know that this posture is not going to last forever. And I really can't hear you if you're swearing right now, so that's okay. You can just let that anger go. So we are stimulating right now the spleen and liver, the spleen and stomach meridian line mostly. And this is related to anger and frustration often. So can you breathe through it? Breathe deeply. Now walking your hands again back to the front if they were beside your hips. You can lower the blocks a little bit and then gently we'll pull the hips back into what we call dragon splits or half splits. So really slow. Straighten your right knee. The right foot can either stay flat onto the mat or you can float your right toes towards your body. So again, if you still have your bolster underneath your left knee, you can keep it there or you can remove it now. And keeping a little bit of a right micro bend in the right knee. Folding, letting your spine round. So already you can feel the pressure released from the left hip flexor, the blood circulating there, flowing freely now. And then bend your right knee and heel toe your right foot over towards the left. Drop the right knee now down towards the ground. So we're in what we call the pigeon stretch or swan pose. Now you can fall all the way over to your right hip. So you're leaning towards the right side, maybe bending your left knee for a modified variation of your pigeon, maybe 90-90. If you do feel safe to straighten your left knee, you can keep the chest square, but make sure that there's no pain or strain inside the knee joint. So really, really mindful of that. The target is into the right hip, so placing that intention into the pelvis. And then again, lower down, maybe onto your elbows, just seeing how that feels in the pose. Now, if you do feel comfortable, you can lower your chest even more. You can take the elbows a little bit wider, maybe resting onto your bolster or your blocks. And closing your eyes. And take 5 more breaths. Walk your hands now back towards you. Slide your left leg a little bit closer to take your right leg back to meet your left, child's posture, just for a few breaths. So there is a tendency to want to fidget and move after this pose. Can you just be still, just with it? Notice the sensation within your hips, the difference from the right and the left side. Walk your hands back to the front. Come all the way up onto your hands and your knees, table. Move your body now in any way that it needs. And just taking this time for you to explore with curiosity. And keeping that yin energy in the body, so trying not to move too quickly, but just moving really slow, like you're moving through mud or water. You can elevate your hands if you wish, bringing blocks under your hands, and we'll move to the other side, the left side. Left foot steps through, in between your hands. Cushion underneath your right knee if you need to. And then try to make sure that your left knee is just over the left heel. Again, your left arm can rest over your left thigh if that feels okay. We'll take a few moments to stay in this first variation of the pose, low dragon, just letting your head dangle. So if you feel like you're holding your breath, if you feel like the muscles are tensing or shaking, that's an indication that you've gone a little bit too far. So prop yourself up as much as you can so that you can rest. So we are looking for a gentle stress, but it should never be overwhelming. And see if you are unconsciously tensing. Relax your jaw, your lips. And let your pelvis melt towards the floor. Again, if you'd like just a little bit more, if your body is receptive to this, you can elevate the level of your blocks, maybe elevating your shoulders. Your hands can stay forwards in line with your left knee. Option 1, just lifting the upper body just slightly. Option 2, walking your hands beside your hips so the shoulders are eventually over the pelvis. This is going to deepen the posture significantly. So again, be really gentle. If you'd like, you can place something underneath your left hip to rest onto. Try to close your eyes if you can, or just look down to the ground. Breathe deeply into the belly. Notice if you're tensing that place. Relax the shoulders. Soften the face. And then walk your hands now forwards if they're beside. Pull your hips back and straighten your left thigh into your dragon splits or half splits so you can keep your left foot either grounded or flex your left toes towards you. Hands can stay onto the blocks or the mat and round your back as you look down towards your left knee. Again, feel the pressure from the right hip just dissolve, so quite quickly that release. And we'll bend back into the left knee, crawl your hands forward once again. You can move your blocks to the side if you'd like, and heel toe your left foot over to the right. Drop your left knee just behind your left wrist for your pigeon stretch. So working your right leg either further back, or you can roll completely over to your left hip. So that might take the pressure away from your left knee. You can also bend your right knee slightly, folding either diagonally here, maybe drawing the left heel a little bit further forward. Again, being mindful that there's no pain or strain inside your left knee. If you do feel comfortable extending your right leg behind you, maybe coming down onto your bolster or blocks, onto your elbows or props. So I didn't mention this before, but again, always you can do this on your back in figure 4 as well. So I'll just take a few minutes here in this pose. Find a place where you can comfortably let go, let your body melt. So we've been working a lot with the pelvis, with the hips. Anchor yourself back in your breath. Walk your hands back towards you. Lift your chest again. Slide the right leg a little bit closer and take your left leg back to meet your right again. Last time through your child's posture. So you're just feeling this place to ease the body, trying to be still. Maybe looking over to one shoulder or the other. Now this time we'll come up into a seated pose. You can either kneel sitting onto your heels. So we'll close into meditation, either a seated position, or you can sweep your legs to the front of your mat and lie all the way down onto your back. So your choice of your meditation, relaxation. If you are on your spine, you can place a bolster under your knees or blocks. If you're kneeling or sitting, maybe sitting a little bit higher. And then I encourage you just to rest your hands onto your body, so grounding yourself here in this moment. So the hands are extension of the heart. And touch is so powerful. So just bringing this loving kindness to yourself. Feeling the energy flowing through the body. Breathing all the way down into the pelvis. That space of creation, creativity. To the heart, that place of love and empathy. And so for these last few moments here, collectively, we'll just find gratitude. And sending out love to all of the people around the world universally. Sending this healing energy that we've created here on our mat. To those in need. So thank you so much for coming to practice with me. I encourage you to stay a little bit longer if you do have that time. And if you